All right, and we are live. What's up, YouTube and everyone in podcast land? My name is Prince. Got my main man Ash. This is another episode of the Embodied Mind podcast, and we're going to be talking about GMOs, fitness training, and some other stuff. How you doing, Ash?
Not too bad. I've been putting in some crazy hours lately, so I'm a little, I feel kind of worn out, and that's going to be the way it's going to be through the rest of the year until after the first, and then I'll dial it back a little bit. But yeah, other than that, everything is going pretty good. I know that we're off our schedule a little bit because routines for both you and me have been a little bit unusual lately. So now we're recording on Wednesday today, and then we'll see how that goes. So if everyone is joining us for the live stream, you got any particular health or fitness questions that you want Prince or I to try and tackle, go ahead and drop those in the chat box, and then we'll go from there. So what's going on with you? How is everything? How's training? How's everything going?
Training is going all right. I am coming up on the last 2 weeks of the 100-day standing meditation challenge that I started. I really started it in August, but I don't think I started counting until September. So that's cool. That's really been the bulk of my training. I started up a new GMB program this week, and I've lost a lot of flexibility, so it feels like I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again for the first time.
Right.
But that's been fun. I haven't been doing any powerlifting or anything. This has been so cold, but it's supposed to warm up this weekend, so I'm probably gonna do like one day a week of like powerlifting, just so I keep that keep my numbers up. But I'm not. That's not my big focus. My main focus is like mobility, body weight stuff right now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about like the last time that I'm basically in the same boat. I'm just like twice a week. I'm doing some short like kettlebell complex just to kind of keep a thread of that, in my training as much as possible. But the majority of everything that I'm working on right now is all just like body weight stuff, just because I'm squeezing in exercises where and when I can, and that usually means that the only thing that I have available to me is body weight. So I'm working on a lot of gymnastics kind of stuff. I'm trying to work on like the push-up, like handstand press is what they call it, and then I'm doing like a lot of single arm strength stuff. So I think we talked about like one or two episodes ago how I've been doing just a lot of work from the dead hang position, trying to restore some overhead mobility and just kind of get my shoulders, my rotator cuffs healthy. But it's like my elbows have not been healthy for a long time, and all this work from the dead hang position seems to be actually getting my elbows healthy again. And so I've been even working like one hand, like from the dead hang position, and then trying to do like some assisted, like just the other day I started doing some assisted like one arm pull up type movements. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. A lot of single leg stuff.
Nice, nice. So like pistols or like working the
Yeah, yeah,
pistols
yeah.
or okay.
Yeah, I think I started to message you the other day about uh, just how surprising it is that just working like in the end range position, like how much stronger that will make you, throughout the entire movement. And so I think probably like for the last 2 years, even I've been spending a lot of time just working in the bottom position of the pistol,
Hmm.
and just trying to get like my strength and mobility built up in the bottom of the pistol position. And then recently, I have started working back through like the full range. And I was just kind of surprised at like how much improvements I had made. Of course, dropping 30 pounds of scale weight helped a lot too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So, man, I'm having trouble like opening up the window for the live stream in order to. Okay, there we go. Never mind, I got it. So that I can follow the chat. Um, what about you? Where you at? I know you were just saying that you felt like you lost a lot of mobility.
Well, not so much mobility, but flexibility. Like but that's kind of something that I've always dealt with. When it gets cold, I'm not as because of colder temperatures. Um, but I've never really spent a lot of time working on flexibility. Usually it was because I was so active doing sports and whatnot. Of course, you do warm ups and stretching there. Um, but now I'm like paying more attention to specifically flexibility and how that affect impacts the movements and a lot of the stuff that you have to do during elements with all the different animal movements. Um, I want to get to the because I before when I went through the program I was pretty good with the movements, but I was never at the point where I could like do my own flows and stuff that you see some of the GMB trainers posting like on Instagram, mainly on Instagram. So that's really my goal, but I'm just starting completely from scratch and I really want to do integral strength, but I think that's the name of the program. But I think I'm just going to focus mostly on all the mobility stuff. So I'm going to get through elements, and maybe once I'm midway through, then I'll like start to work on vitamin. Uh, or no, I'm probably not because I just remembered that once you reach a certain point, then this is kind of me teasing elements. The workouts get a whole significantly longer. It's like right now it's week one. Oh, it's easy. Here's a stretch and here's a movement. Be mindful with it. And then later it like gets longer where it's like okay, you're working on all three movements, and then you're doing these variations on the movements, and what starts out a 5 minute little routine turns into a 30 or 40 minute routine where you're taking breaks and doing it at your own pace, but it's just so much to get through. Um, and I think that that's something even when you do kind of these for fun workouts. Or, well, no, I'll say when you're trying to learn a skill, because this is a workout, but at the end of the day, there's certain skills that I'm trying to develop. Um, you have to like put in the reps, and you have to think about this is skill training, but it's still training. If I want to do these other things, well, I want to do this, and I want to deadlift, and I want to bench press, I want to do some calisthenics, I want to do these other things. It's like, yo, there's only so much time that you can devote, or you got to plan for all those other things. But it looks like we got a comment, just saying what's up. We haven't even started talking about the food and whatnot. We're just kind of talking about fitness and what we got going on with training. Ash had to step away for a minute, um, so I guess I'll keep talking about. Oh, okay. It looks like he's back, sort of. Um, but on the thing about the GMB stuff, I am starting to look at like what other teachers from other programs do because a lot of the stuff, I mean, it's two arms, two legs. They're similar movements, so there's something that I've seen a lot of the animal flow instructors do that I'm starting to pull into my GMB stuff to like make it some of the old movements or some of the boring parts give it a little bit more flair. So it's like I'm still working on the skill that they want me to do, still trying to develop that what's the term I'm trying to think of? That that quality that they're looking to develop with whatever stretch or movement, but adding a little bit more uh, I don't want to say flair, but a little bit liven it up a little bit more. Where things that I'm seeing the animal flow instructors do, I'm kind of adding that in because I mean it's all like I said, it's all the same. Eventually, I'm going to be doing their stuff and they'll be doing my stuff, and it'll all look the same, and you won't know who trained with what teacher and what organization. But it makes it a little bit more fun, and it also helps because sometimes there's like the table movement and it wasn't explained well to me, but watching the animal flow instructors, they do that table movement all the time, and they actually help me to understand how to do it better. So I'm enjoying it. I'm trying to make it fun and not, oh man, I got to get out here and crawl around the garage. Got to,
Right.
you know, just make it fun. And I'm starting
Us.
to adapt when things hurt, I'm pulling in stuff from original strength. So in a way, it's like I'm creating my own system in a sense from studying primal movement, GMB. Why I've got the Animal Flow DVDs, but I've never watched them. GMB, and then all the different people I watch on Instagram. So it's pretty cool. Like I said, one day I'll have my little Spider-Man, Miles Morales program, and go from there. I'm gonna churn out some real
So,
life Spider Men and women.
right. Uh, Talking about the just the animal movements and just having fun. Have you heard of Daryl Edwards and his primal play stuff?
No, I haven't heard of him.
Yeah, so he's out of the UK and he's kind of like really big, like in the paleo community and the sort of ancestral health community. And he just kind of has a system put together where it's sort of like a blend of I'm not. He's a little bit like Ido Portal,
Uh huh.
but not quite as gymnastic. So
Hmm.
interesting kind of backstory. I don't know if you'd ever heard of like Ido Portal used to be a big part of the gymnastics body. So
Yeah, I knew that's how I actually found Chris Summers.
right, yeah. So he used to be part of that community, and then eventually, like he had some kind of falling out with Coach Summers, and but it didn't matter anymore. He just went on to go do his own thing, and then
Yeah.
but so Daryl Edwards is kind of a little bit like Ido Portal in some of the sense of like the just games that he tries to do, and
Hmm.
then so it's a lot of like a little bit like little like parkour, a little bit like Ido Portal stuff, a little bit like the primal who's the other guy from like Australia that I'm thinking of? But yeah, I mean, I was looking at some of his stuff. I was listening to him on Rob Wolf's podcast,
Hmm.
um, like not too long ago, and I thought that I just kind of wanted to check out like what he has going on. Um, just because I think one of the things that I've been trying to focus on more lately is just having fun, and just playing games instead of like trying to work out and uh, train as much. I just been, for me, I have like a lot of other things going on, and there's a lot of backstory to it. But long story short, I just been like super burned out, uh, and I've lost like a lot of the enthusiasm for a lot of the things that I've been doing, especially like in my martial arts training. So I've been focusing on lately of trying to just make things like more fun for everyone, like even everyone that comes to class, but it's like a little bit more fun for me, a little bit more enjoyable. and trying to get like my kids involved with that and having fun and playing games and stuff like that. I think that's been like a big element that's been missing from, just my life in general. But, in terms of like movement and activity, like for a long time, everything has been kind of like performance oriented. Just in terms of like trying to make sure that I was functioning at a high level for the purpose of being able to like train and teach martial arts, or I don't say a high level, but like the highest level possible for me.
Mm.
And just kind of gotten to a point now where, like I said, I just got like super burned out, and I needed to like kind of switch gears a little bit. So that was kind of part of what I was working on, like last over the summer, like when I was doing like a little bit of like rock climbing, and then I kind of went a little too hard, too fast with that, and I injured myself, and it took months for that to finally like recover, in my hand. And then now my schedule has gotten so crazy that I haven't even been able to get back to any climbing. But the new thing that I'm working on right now, I don't, have you ever done any slacklining or tried any of that? You know what that's all about?
Yeah, I've never. I don't. I don't think I've done it, but I know I got a few friends that are big into slacklining. Uh, Ryan Crandall is, at least he was talking a lot about it. He's in New Mexico. He's in Albuquerque. Um, he was instructor I had at a personal trainer's workshop or something out in Vegas. But yeah, he was big into slack. He was the person I think who introduced me to it, but I don't think I've ever done it.
Yeah, it's super challenging when you first start out. Um, and it was like something that I wanted to, it just looked fun to me anyway. But, I thought, okay, well, if coming from our martial arts background, it's like if we're supposed to be like masters of balance, we should be able to get on and play around with this thing. And it was like the first time I tried to get on, it was like incredible. I couldn't believe like how hard it was. And so then it's like eventually I borrowed one from one of my students here. Like he had one, and then at some point I'm going to invest in one, just to have it like where and when I want it. But like, so like the last couple of days, we've been stringing it up at the park and jumping on it, and I've actually got to the point now where I can get up and maintain my balance on one leg on the line, like not indefinitely, but I can pretty much get off when I want to, rather than like falling off or getting close to it. Getting close to it anyway. And but yeah, it's been super fun, and it's like the kids were jumping on there with me, and it's like that's always makes it that much more fun.
Awesome.
And yeah, so that's kind of where what I'm working on like right now.
Yeah. I feel you on the whole making training fun. That's kind of what why I still have this continued interest in like extreme martial arts, but I, I'm not young and I'm not as young as I'd like to think I am, and that's kind of what really has me looking at the upper end of skills and qualities that GMB helps you develop. Is like I want to be able to make, I want to be able to do like spontaneous Tai Chi forms that are like, I'll say, extreme martial arts light,
Mm.
where it's not, you land the wrong way doing some 720 spin, and you're gonna shatter your ankle or something like that. Because the guy who's like my tricking instructor right now, his ankle is all messed up, and he's like 24. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, I should be better in about 3 or 4 months. And I'm like, if that happened to me, I might not be better for a year or two, just because it takes things longer to heal.
All
Um,
right.
So I'm like, yeah, you kids can have that. I don't. I just want to like kind of see what y'all are doing, and then say, okay, here's a easier, safer way to do that with a whole lot less impact. Because I can still jump. It's the landings that mess me up. So
Right.
yeah, no thanks.
Well, and we were just talking about that last night during our, during the martial arts classes, where we were talking about like the value and the benefit of just like basic tumbling skills,
Yeah,
just knowing how to fall, and just being like comfortable with, gravity essentially. It's like, specifically it was because I had strung up the slack line before class. So a couple of us were messing around on that. And, it was like, it kind of my feet had come out from under me kind of suddenly, and it was like I could have tried to do my best to like stick a landing, which would have been really hard on my joints, or I could just like, okay, no big deal, relax, and just like just drop into a roll and roll right out of it, and then it's no big deal because it's like especially for me, I'm coming up on, I'm a little bit older than you even. I'm coming up on 43. So it's like my joints aren't, in their 20s anymore. And it's like I've had, my share of injuries already. So, it's like I said, just that, just piggybacking off that idea, like what you're talking about of like, martial arts tricking, whereas like the most probably valuable skill that taken out of something like that is the tumbling skills.
yeah,
Just being able to take a fall, turn it into a roll, and save yourself a whole lot of impact.
yeah. And if you ever want to do any stuntman work, uh, all you need to know how to do is sell a punch, sell a kick, and know how to fall. Unless you're trying to be the next big action star. I'm not. They could pay me 800 or what is it, like $800 a day just to appear on set and get my butt kicked. I wasn't about to say butt.
Right. Um, so one of the
Sign
things
me up.
that, yeah, one of the things that I want to talk about on this episode was I recently got into a conversation with some other guys from the keto community about GMOs on Instagram, and I think I think one of the things that a lot of the folks from the keto community like to think of themselves as being like evidence based,
Yeah.
and so there was a lively discussion that took place off of that. I kind of wanted to carry on with that over here and kind of put my thoughts out there for people. So we got a couple of people that are dropping us some messages in the chat. We got Self Elevation, and we got Ronan dropping by to say hi. We want to say hi to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for dropping us some comments.
That's Special K to Ronin.
Say what now?
That's Special K to Ronin.
Special K to Ron. I'm missing
Yeah.
something.
That's what I've been calling him for like the last year and a half. Special K to Ronin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, thanks for stopping by and saying hi. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us for a while.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, getting back to, go ahead.
This is probably go. This is a huge tangent, but he said, "I hope you're having a great week so far." And when I was looking at my phone from back here from the chat, I thought he was saying something about he's been farting all week. Because an exclamation point looked like a T from back here, and I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
I see that. I've been
"Yeah,
farting all week so
I've been
far.
farting all week." So be like, "Hey, Special K, you might want to get some of this, some
Right.
of these Restorazine for those of you listening to the audio version. Hop over to MikeMahler.com. I won't even make you use my affiliate link. Not this time.
Yeah, so we like Mike and what he's doing, and we like his products, so we always
His
don't
products
hesitate
are
to
on
recommend.
Amazon too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they're on
that,
Amazon too.
yeah, that's a little bit easier way to buy them. I think you let Amazon do the fulfillment.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, so getting back to GMOs. So let me ask you, what do you think?
Hey man, did you hear about they got GMO babies now?
Oh, yeah, I saw that the one from the guy that's claiming the twins from China.
Yeah, they HIV resistant.
Yeah, we'll
What
see. We'll s
what if one of them girls grows up to be a hoe? I probably shouldn't have said that.
uh,
Come on, boys, I can't get HIV.
right. You can't get it, but that don't mean that she can't carry it and spread it.
She gonna spread it all right. Man, them kids ruin me, man.
You're bad. You're bad.
Anyway, so I mean, as a person who grew up in a household where you had to love everything science. My grandma was a chemistry major and completed 2 years of med school before she dropped out because she had pneumonia. My granddad worked in labs. Of course, his degree was in aeronautical engineering, and they force fed science to me. That's why I'm not a doctor, is because they force fed science to me, and the minute I got out of the house, I was like, no more science. Um, I am very intrigued in the idea of us being able to grow food that is literally medicine, right? Like you say, okay, well, we got this train of corn, and these kids in Africa that are missing these nutrients that are caused, or these vitamins. What is it, like vitamin A, that the deficiencies causing blindness, and so
Yeah.
we can give them this corn that's enriched with this. It's scary in the sense that the only way that you can alter the DNA of a plant cell is by using a virus, because that's what can bypass the cell wall, or violently break through it. That's the scary part. Like, what if what if you have a strand of this food, or this this food, and it's carrying that virus. um, that's the scary part, and I think that a lot of, well, I won't say I think a lot. A few years back, when you had like all these people jumping on the GMOs aren't safe thing, they were using that as a scare tactic. Like, yo, these plants are carrying this virus, right? And it might kill you. It's like, well, that's how they're bypassing the cell wall. I find at the same time though it's scary, because it's like the only way to test this stuff to see if it's safe is to throw it out there into the wild to see what happens, right? I think Paul Chek said we're like part of the largest human study in the history of civilization, and Paul Chek will have you afraid to eat anything GMO. I'm just like, you know what? People got to eat. You know what? They got this. What's this going on with the romaine lettuce coming out of Northern California? It's
Yeah,
got E.
E.
coli.
coli.
Yeah, I mean, like it doesn't matter what you eat. If you didn't grow it yourself, you're always taking a risk. Um, I feel like GMO is like the next. I'd like to believe that the big head people that are behind this stuff have good intentions, and maybe it's the people who make the money who muck it all up. But I'd like to believe that once we get the science under control, that, hey man, that's what's gonna help. Not counting all the Gopi Krishna stuff that I talk about as far as meditation being the evolution of humanity. I feel like the food and everything else, that's how you usher in that new era, the new age, the next stage in the development of us as a race. And that's if the politicians and the business people don't mess it all up. I really want to cuss, and
Hmm.
unfortunately, I think that's money talks and BS walks. And I feel like the people who stand to profit are the ones that are going to mess it all up. for everybody except the rich
Right.
people.
Well, I mean, that's my, I'm like staunchly opposed to um, GMOs just in principle. I have like a range of objections to them both, and some of that is there's scientific reasons, but my actually like my primary objection to GMOs are political and economic. So, um, I think there's a couple things that like I want to address as far as where like I think like a lot of people say, oh, we've been modifying plants, and crops to meet our needs, for centuries already, and we're already making like hybrids and cross, pollination, hybridization, blah blah blah. That's not the same thing, right? Like, injecting scorpion and spider DNA into a strawberry is not, can't happen outside of a lab. So don't try to compare the two because they're not the same. Um, and so there's a couple of things or let's go back. I want to you know, I'll start with, like I said, my primary objections are economic and political. So, like for me, we already grow enough food to feed everybody, but like half of it goes straight to a landfill every year. It's not, it's like we don't have a production problem. We have like a distribution problem, which is rooted in economics. So, for one, people like we need to have like a cultural shift in terms of like how people perceive like fruit and vegetables and produce, where it's like it doesn't have to be pretty for it to be nutritious. What I mean? For me, like especially like when it comes to like tomatoes, for me it's like the uglier the better because it's going to be juicy and delicious compared to like those bull crap hothouse tomatoes that they're all like the same diameter, they're all the same color, it's all washed out, no flavor,
Yeah,
but
they're all full of water.
right, and they have a long shelf life. Uh, you know, so just because these things have already been bred to have like this like long shelf life, but the nutritional value of them is much lower. The flavor is much lower, and and even of all that stuff that gets grown, half of it, if it doesn't meet like those visual standards and the uniformity and size and shape, it just gets pitched. It goes right to the landfill, and so like I said, it's all kind of like rooted in economics and what people's perceptions are of like what the produce should look like and all that kind of stuff. So it's like there's a lot of issues that revolve around that, where it's like if we could just kind of like change people's ideas a little bit, we would be wasting a lot less food. And then, like I said, then there's all the produce that does sit on the shelf that then it doesn't get bought in time, and it gets pitched into the trash and instead of being sold or donated or whatever. So it's like we're wasting massive amounts of food already. So we don't have a problem feeding the world. We have a problem with a biased economic system. So, it's like I'm not like totally anti-capitalism. I think it has like some benefits and it has some drawbacks. And so it's like I think we need to address those problems before we start. You know, let's address those problems first, and if those still don't fix like or meet all of our needs, then we can talk about taking things like to a different level, possibly with GMOs. So, if we talk about like the title question of the episodes, are GMOs safe or are they safe for your health? Right now, there is no compelling evidence that GMOs are harmful, actively harmful. So we have to go ahead and put that out there. But at the same time, there's no compelling evidence that they're any better. You know, there's been no evidence provided that they're better for the consumer than conventionally grown produce. Uh, and so again, like in the short term right now, the only benefit that I see is for the industry, you know, for big agriculture. I don't see that there is any benefit to the consumer. So, you know, there's that to consider. And then, what I was going to say was that, you know, like Monsanto and the industry for a long time, they swore up and down that there was that like aspartame was safe and that Roundup or glyphosate was safe and that those pose no risk to human health. But now here it is, you know, 50 or 60 years later, and now we're starting to have the studies come out that are providing some pretty compelling evidence, you know, linking exposure to both of these products to like disruptions in our gut microbiome. So I think that was one of the things that we talked about way back in one of our first episodes, where it was that study that was done in India that was showing that exposure to glyphosate was causing rates of diabetes in India to go up, like among the rural farmer population, because their disrupted gut microbiome was basically producing like exogenous sugar in their gut and then releasing it into the bloodstream, giving them type 2 diabetes. So, you know, it's just that the science at the time, like when those products were new, the science was so new, and it took 50 years for the science to catch up with the problems that they were causing. So just because right now, you know, industry can say, well, look, we got this study and this study that shows that there's no health risk. Well, yet, right?
Yeah.
That, like I said, is like the science behind all this stuff is still so, but industry is in a huge hurry to rush it to market because they want to recoup, you know, the bajillion dollars that they've spent in research and development. And I think the scientists that are involved, you know, the geneticists that are involved in this whole process are so close to the issue. You know, it's like they love genetics and they love genetic engineering. It's like they're, you know, they not able to step back and see like the whole picture and the potentials and the risks and the pitfalls for the whole picture, or they're going to minimize them because it's like they're personally invested in their projects. You know, it's like they're, you know, their life's pursuits or whatever, but it's like, you know, that doesn't, you know, it's like they're biased.
Yeah.
And it's like their bias is preventing them from being able to see like a potential shortcoming. So like again, like coming back to like the political and the economic issue is that, you know, for me it all revolves around the intellectual property rights. You know, and once upon a time it was like the intellectual property laws were meant to protect like the individuals who came up with you know, innovations, you know, in order to prevent like corporations from being able to steal their ideas and profit from them. But you know, it's like the laws now and everything, like all the industry has co-opted the whole process of like intellectual property rights for the most part. You know, it's like the whole Save Your Internet hashtag that you were posting about recently, and with the legislation that the EU has passed, that's, you know, potentially going to shut down YouTube or have massive implications for small creators to be able to create content on YouTube. It's like those laws have been lobbied for by industry, not small creators and individuals, right? And so,
Completely by the industry.
right, and so it's like a lot of the driving force behind GMOs is going to be that like that seed technology
Yeah, they're
is going
putting
to be
patents on the
is
seeds.
right. It's going to be patented, and that's also like for me as another risk is like a lot of the engineering behind these is what they call terminator seed technology. And so basically what happens is that like that those seeds are only viable for one or two generations at the most. So even if you tried to save the seeds, at some point that the line becomes non-viable. It won't the seeds won't germinate, and it's only like one or two generations. So we don't really know for sure like what's going to happen if there's cross pollination between those and wild type varieties. It's like, is that terminator seed technology going to spread into wild type varieties, and then we're going to end up losing, all these different. It's like we're already the genetic diversity among agricultural crops has already been reduced by something like 90%. Over the last 100 years, the different types of corns and potatoes and wheats and everything. Um, so that could potentially reduce the genetic variety even more. And even still, it's like if you don't have access anymore to heirloom varieties, and it's already getting much, much harder to have access to heirloom varieties, especially because if those heirloom varieties get cross-pollinated by, a patented strain, and Monsanto denies it, but there's a bunch of stories already that are out there of farmers who have been sued for trying to save seeds or for having their crops get, there's like a farmer on one side of the road, a farmer on the other. One's growing like GMO variety of wheat. The guy on the other side is trying to grow like an heirloom variety of wheat or corn. There's cross pollination, and then there's legal problems. It's like it's going to potentially, and I don't see how it wouldn't, based on the history of corporations lobbying, that it's like the production of food is going to become privatized and monopolized, and so that's going to reduce consumer freedom and the freedom and choice of the individual to be able to grow their own produce, which is, for me, I would rather advocate this the libertarian side of me. I'd rather advocate more for a decentralized system of food production, more local grown food as much as possible, like reducing the distance from farm to table, because like reducing the distance from farm to table also increases the nutritional content of food, because like a lot of the water soluble vitamins uh, they have short half lives. So it's like when you pick a head of lettuce or spinach in Florida and you're going to ship it to California, by the time like all that time that it's taking, the vitamin C content of that produce is diminishing. Or the same thing like with oranges, for example. So, I mean, there are many, many reasons, so in my opinion, of why we should be focusing on, like I said, decentralizing food production, focusing more on heirloom varieties and genetic variety within the crops being grown, rather than focusing on a science-based, laboratory-based, engineering-based solution to the problems. When, like I said, we already grow enough food as it is. It's just that we don't want to give it away, or we at prices that people can afford, and the consumer mentality of like what produce should look like. So Ronan says, does GMO and dying of bees have any connection of long-term effects to our crops? Off the top of my head, I'm not aware of any direct connection between GMOs and bees outside of the fact that a lot of the reason that certain crops get grown to or genetically modified to begin with, like wheat, for example, is to make them what they call Roundup ready. So they make them resistant to glyphosate, and they come like pre-seeded with a certain amount of glyphosate on the seed, in order to reduce, or I should say increase their resistance to pests. Um, and so then the I think the biggest culprit, if I remember correctly, is the nicotinamides, and or the neonicotinoids, and those ones are having the biggest effect on bees and colony collapse. I mean, so it's like an indirect relationship. It's not like that the GMO plant itself is causing the bees to die, but it's like the increased exposure to herbicides and pesticides that are affecting the bee populations. I've been ranting for a minute. You got anything you want to pile on?
Well, I'd heard that the bee population was bouncing back, so but I that's not really something I follow. Just overheard a conversation about it. Um, but no, I don't. I don't really have much. I'll be honest. When people ask me about GMOs, I initially think of. I don't tend to think of, like wheat, as far as like, the wheat that it's GMO wheat that has pesticides and whatnot. Um, and I hate to sound like one of those political vegans, but I was under an impression a lot of those kind of crops are grown that way to be fed to support the meat industry. Um, as far as I think it would be great if like we made food focus more on like supporting local farms. I I feel like that would be turning the clock back, and a lot of people wouldn't like that. I mean, like you can be a vegan and live in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I didn't just pull that. I didn't pull that out of the air because Ying lives there, but actually like Vegan Gains was talking about that. But if I mean it's cold there, it started snowing there last month. You're not going to be eating oranges in Saskatoon. You might not even be able to get them to grow there, but a few months out of the 1 month out of the year, and they're not going to be very good. Not like Florida oranges. So you know, of course, then we got. I'm sure there are ways to grow oranges indoors now with the tech we have. Um, so
Well, and that's the other thing that I was going to say was that, like, if you've never heard of guys like Jeff Lawton or Sepp Holzer, big names in the permaculture community, I mean, it's like they're already showing that it's possible to create a system of massive abundance simply through careful, like, engineering of microclimates, and by engineering I mean like earthworks projects, and like it's like low tech, high concept type stuff. He's Jeff Lawton in particular is doing some amazing things in Jordan at like 600 feet below sea level, and Sepp Holzer has proven that he's able to grow lemons in the Austrian Alps at like 5,000 feet just through careful like creation of microclimates and stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of amazing potential for things, and not everyone has to get into like agriculture or urban agriculture. But I think that if we encourage that more, especially in this like upcoming generation where it's like, okay, like I can't remember where I was. Um, I think I was in the grocery store, and the guy that was stocking the produce aisle, I only overheard like part of the conversation, but he was basically, I mean, more or less, he was like, the guy had a master's degree in his field, and he was stocking produce and in the fries grocery store
He
because he
must have
couldn't
gone to
get it.
divinity school.
No, I can't remember off the top of my head like what field that he said it was in, but I mean it was like it was a just whatever it was. He was like, yeah, my field is swamped, and I have a master's degree. I can't find a job in my field. I'm stocking produce, and so it's like we have a glut of people that have been, it's like especially like all the millennials and stuff that have been force fed the idea that they need to go to college, they need to get a university degree, and then they get done and there's no work for them. Where it's like we could be, encouraging people to get into agriculture, and we could be decentralizing, food production through a lot of these permaculture techniques that don't require anyone to have intellectual property rights to the production of food. Um, are you laughing at what Rodney was saying about the
Yeah.
GoFundMe account to Canada?
Yeah.
Well, Rodney, as you happen to bring it up, it's like if people want to help support Prince, go to Saskatoon, or if they want to help support the show, go ahead and check the video description below for links to both Prince and I have coaching programs available. My coaching program is officially open as of yesterday, and so if anybody wants to get in on that, you can save $50 a month if you register before January 1st. So it's like a lot of it, we all know what we need to do to eat better, but a lot of the reason that we don't is because we don't know how to take action, and we don't know how to put those habits into our lives. And that's what the role of a coach is for, is to help us take meaningful action in the direction that we want to move. It's not necessarily about more knowledge. And so if you guys want to get buffed up like Thor or Captain America, Prince is going to be a help you with that. And if you want to understand like how to develop a better relationship with food and preparation and making it an easy part of your life, then that's where I'm going to come in until Prince finishes his PN certification. Prince, where are you at with that? You've been working on PN1 for a little while. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire right now. I'm going to call you out a little bit.
No, I'm not. I'm not cracking open the PN book until I finish. I'm not until I finish OTA and
OTA?
yeah, and get my website set up. So yeah, yeah. John was like, no, focus on this, and then
Yeah.
get to that
Well,
other
that's
thing.
actually right. I mean, that's good. That's brilliant because that's part of the coaching approach is going to be, don't try to change everything all at one time. Is focus on one thing at a time until you master that habit, until it becomes like smooth and seamless a part of your life, and then you can go to the next thing and the next thing.
But
Right? I mean, that's why people.
it's tempting. I mean I got both textbooks in my backpack, so it's like today I was like, huh, I really don't want to read this same lesson over again in my OTA book. I let me read some PN stuff, and I was like, no, there's a reason I'm reading the lesson over again because I haven't figured out how to like do the steps. And then I looked in my workbook and I'm like, I haven't even done the activities for these chapters that I've read, so it's like, okay,
Yeah.
let me work through.
Right.
But yeah, I hope to get it like knocked out by the spring.
The OTA, you mean?
No, I want OTA done by. I wanted to be finished this month, but I crashed like all last week.
Right.
I crashed.
Yeah, I mean, my schedule has been so crazy that like I've been just putting in mad hours, and like I even right now I'm starting to feel like I can just tell like I've been run through the ringer, and I still got 3 more weeks of this to go, or four actually, because it's got all of December. Next week, Venerable Jiru is going to be here in town, so we're going to be doing that 3 day mindfulness retreat. So I'll have like about 3 days off then. But it's like, it's like my hair is like way overdue for, I'm looking woolly, and my beard is crazy because like I haven't even had time to like just trim, and stay looking like a human being and professional. Because it's like I said, I opened up my coaching program yesterday, and I was like, oh, dang it. I need to have my daughter like take a couple of professional headshots of me so that I can update, because I need to update both my websites. The one for falling for martial arts. I need to update my website a little bit for the nutrition coaching, and I'm going to be doing a lot more blogging over there. So if you guys want to follow up with some stuff, I already have started. I got a couple of articles on breathing and
Yeah.
some of the that I posted over at Falling Leaves Kung Fu. So if you guys want to head over to those websites and check those out, I got one that should be coming out later today about the Wim Hof method, and a new study that was done that relates to again respiration and exposure to cold. And so that article will be available. Should be later on tonight, or later on this afternoon. I should have that one done. So yeah, so if you guys want to have some stuff to read, go ahead and check that out. We'll put some links in the video description below. Prince, what do you got going on with your website?
Well, there's a funny thing. I had my friend Roberto Blake is expanding his ever expanding uh, business development programs, and he kind of start. He's doing this thing on LinkedIn. So he looked at my LinkedIn page and he's like, I was like, dude, I just like threw stuff on there. I don't even go on LinkedIn. I, I,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I need to take it more seriously because you ain't added me as a contact on there. Um, but um, but he was like, you need to stop making everything about your YouTube channel. You know, all because he was like, all of my recommendations on there are for fitness, and he said make the YouTube channel part of your fitness thing. Yeah, you talk about geek stuff, but it should be like, oh, I'm the master trainer at Urban Acolyte Fitness or something. So I've like gone back to Urban Acolyte training, even though Golden Bell Fitness or training makes more sense. It's like more people know me for that. So it's like, I still think I'm gonna do something under Golden Belt training. It'll probably be more focused on martial arts, but I'll have to put that on the back burner, one thing at a time. So I got to build out an Urban Acolyte training website that'll basically be like Star Wars geek fitness. Um, I'm hoping to have that all up. I'm not gonna make it all fancy, but just something functional over the holidays. Cause that's actually a lesson in OTA, is like building your website, specific for sales, and then I'll worry about trying to make it look nice and filling it in. But in the meantime, if I got an ebook or some offering, some piece of information, here's where you get it, here's where you sign up to get it, and here's where you sign up to start training. Give me your
Right.
money. No, I'm just playing.
But for real though,
Yeah, but for real, yeah, give me your
right?
money. Um, and let's get going in 2019. So yeah, that's what I really got to do is just man, all this YouTube stuff. I'm like vlogging about like trending topics and then putting a mindfulness spin on it. And I think I'm gonna do a lot of stuff just out of my vlog that like touches on kind of everything. And the only fitness stuff I'm gonna do on YouTube is if I it's stuff that like ties back into my training business. I need to demonstrate an exercise. Here's my exercise so I'm not worried about. I know it's people that's been asking me to do videos on kettlebell training, and I'm not doing it. If there's enough stuff out there, if you want to see a video of me about kettlebell training, sign up for training, and you'll have a video. I am gonna do stuff. This is something I don't I just say it here, for people. Maybe there's other fitness people, fit pros getting started that are listening to the audio, or maybe they're here on YouTube, one of the people watching live. Um, the fitness stuff that I would do on YouTube, I'm gonna start doing that on LinkedIn because not a lot of people are making content specifically for LinkedIn. That's where all my fitness contacts are, and I mean I got a lot. Fitness and martial arts. So Roberto's like, if that's where all your contacts are in that field, you might link up with somebody about some partnership program, something, or maybe they share something and you get clients through somebody through your network. So I'm gonna start making the fitness stuff specific for LinkedIn. So if you're one of those people that's looking for me to do fitness stuff, do a Jedi inspired kettlebell workout, come to LinkedIn. I'm not gonna do that, but maybe a Thor one or Captain Incredible Hulk. but
Right.
uh, but yeah, so that's just kind of putting that out there for any content creators listening. LinkedIn is no one is, and that's everybody's there to network and do business. Put it there for if you're trying to do business, if you're trying to be the next. I don't even want to say PewDiePie because PewDiePie actually is a business person.
Right.
Uh, I can't think of any big YouTuber who's like just big for. Well, some of these Star Wars people, that's all they do. There's no business behind it. Well, no. Mike Zero. He's the only Star Wars person I know who doesn't have a business behind his channel. Uh, if you want to be like him, then just stick with YouTube and put your content out there. But if you're trying to do business and create content, check out LinkedIn, and that's where I want to put my martial arts and fitness stuff. And matter of fact, I don't know anybody in the martial arts field that's like, except for what's that one lady, like Violet Lee. She writes those
Yeah.
articles. She's the only person that puts content out that I know of about martial arts on LinkedIn. So uh, I wouldn't even like, that I was gonna say you could share your uh, blog articles, but I wouldn't even like post. I would like literally put the article there on LinkedIn.
Right.
Like make it native to the platform. See what happens.
Right. Well, that's interesting because I have one coming up for based on what diet is best. I have a pretty long post that I put together approaching that, and so maybe I'll publish it on LinkedIn first, and then I'll put it on my website after.
Oh,
Yeah, and just post it natively over there on LinkedIn because I mean I don't really want to like get involved like with spending a lot of time on another social media platform. It's like I'm still trying to. I mean, most of my audience seems to be on Facebook, and that's where I get most of the response. Um, I've been working on trying to, my Instagram game, and I'm kind of like sputtering over there. I haven't really gotten a lot of traction. Um, and but maybe I will try like LinkedIn a little bit just because I've been thinking that like okay, if I want to like move to more of a professional track, it's like most of that is more. There's not you don't have the nonsense on LinkedIn that what you have on Facebook, and it's like Facebook's algorithm is just like super smart. And so they know like if you're trying to sell anything and you didn't create a paid ad to promote it, like they just crush it.
yeah.
Like I made a post on my Facebook page or my personal account about my coaching program being open, and I had a link to my page, my coaching program page, and Facebook,
Yeah.
I think they smothered it. It got
Yeah.
no likes and no comments, so I know that nobody saw that post. So I'm gonna take a different. I'm gonna repost it today, but I'm gonna post it as a photo, like native to Facebook, and then with like just a link in the description, and see what happens. But yeah, so
I wouldn't. I would just say PM me for details.
yeah,
That's what the MLM people do. You gotta steal from what they do.
right,
Uh, or my mom, because I mean, my mom is in the MLM for to fix your finances or something, raise your credit score. Uh, she'll post a picture, and there'll be a question. Uh, you know, who who's trying to improve their credit score to buy a house next year, right? And then it'll be like a couple looking at a new house or something like that. Uh, you know, if that's you, comment below or something like that, or tag a friend. If Do you know someone trying to buy a house that needs to raise their credit score to buy a house next year, right? And then I'll look and it'll be like me. Hey, this person, Beth. Hey, call Beth and this and that, or PM me for details or something. Cause when I was doing what is it, Body by Vi, I did that. Who wants to? I had like a picture that their marketing people had produced, for whatever the challenge was, and then who's trying to lose 25 pounds in the next 2 months or something like that. PM me for details, and I had like all these people private messaging me. Of course, when I sent them the link to my Body by Vibe account, you know, most of them didn't get back to me.
right,
But that's something else that I learned. Where then, okay, when they private message you, okay, now you start a conversation, but don't sell them. Just get the conversation going, and
right,
then when they come back later, then boom, there's a sale. Just, hey, how's it going, buddy? What's up? How's your day going?
right,
And then, so what was that program you were talking about? Okay, got you.
right. So, all right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this week. Let's start heading out the door. Do you got anything that you want to put out there before we wrap it up for this episode?
It's really cold, and I don't care about cold shock proteins and Wim Hof method. I do not want to go work out in my cold garage tonight. I've been sitting here rubbing like Ben Gay on my legs. So if people saw me doing this and they're like, Prince is playing with himself on the podcast, I was rubbing Ben Gay on my legs. Or not Ben Gay, but actually, I don't even know if you can buy this stuff anymore. But it's like Ringmaster. It's like
Right.
peanut rubbing oil.
Um, Shoot, I can't remember what the name of that stuff is. It's like a menthol, like the old boxers and stuff used to use, right, to
Yeah.
get loosened up.
Yeah, my granddad used to sell that stuff like as a traveling salesman, and we've still got a couple of bottles lying around. But yeah, I've been sitting here like lubing up to go face the cold.
Um, there's so much innuendo there. I don't know where to start.
That's why I said it. Especially after the conversation I heard today.
Yeah, I know. Bad news, bro.
Ooh, legs up in the air.
All right, guys. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to follow up on anything from today's show, you can check out the video description below for links. And we will catch you next time.